One misty morning, the city was still sleeping peacefully when the first emergency call came through the police station's radio. Police officer Alex James, a middle-aged man, was one of the first to receive the notification. Even though he had been in the industry for many years, the feeling of anxiety and excitement when taking on a rescue mission never went away. There is a serious traffic accident on Shungen Road. Immediate assistance requested. There are people trapped and a dog injured in the car. The announcer's voice interrupted Alex's thoughts. Alex quickly grasped the situation and drove to the scene. When he arrived, the first thing he saw was an overturned car, shattered windows, and the smell of burning oil in the air. Rescue vehicles and medical staff were present, but they could not reach the back of the car, where a small dog was crying miserably. From afar, its cry echoed, like a desperate cry for help. A strange feeling of warmth and pain rose in Alex's heart. He quickly rushed towards the overturned car. The rescue workers were struggling to lift the car, but it was difficult because of the complicated situation. Alex did not hesitate, deciding to approach the overturned car. He pulled out his gun and carefully made his way through the rubble. Under the cracks of the car, the little dog was sitting, trembling and panicking. Although he could not see its entire body clearly, Alex could feel the weakness and confusion in its eyes. "Little boy, don't be afraid, I will help you," Alex said softly, but his voice was somewhat heavy with worry. He gently reached out and touched the dog's back. For a moment, the dog was startled, but then its eyes gradually stabilized. It did not jump out of the car, but instead sat still, looking at Alex with pleading eyes. Officer Alex took a deep breath, then carefully approached. He saw that the dog had its legs stuck under the debris and a large wound on the front of its chest where the glass had broken during the crash. Alex had to move gently, avoiding further injury to the dog. The video captured this tense moment. Alex slowly reached out to hold the dog, gently petting it, reassuring it in a soft, patient voice. The dog seemed to understand, not biting or panicking anymore, but gently pulling back, as if seeking safety in the arms of a stranger. "We'll get out of here safely, boy," Alex said, his voice warm but also determined. With the help of the rescue team, they slowly lifted the car and pulled the dog out. When the dog was rescued, Alex felt a little relieved but also worried at the same time. The dog was seriously injured, and it had to be taken to the veterinary hospital immediately. But at that moment, what surprised him was that the dog did not leave him even after being taken out of the car. It looked at him with loving eyes, as if it was placing all its trust in this police officer. While the dog was being cared for by the veterinarians, Alex sat outside the emergency room, deep in thought. Although he had saved hundreds of lives, this feeling was different. He looked at the oxygen mask on the dog's face, thinking about the lives he had saved, but this time, something in his heart was truly moved. Although it was unclear whether the dog would survive this injury, Alex decided that he would not leave. He did not know why he felt that way, but the dog's loyalty and the look of helplessness could not be easily forgotten. The dog was still lying on the examination table, breathing hard but seemed calmer. Alex stood up, walked over, and gently stroked its head. "You'll be fine. I'll take care of you until you're well. I promise." Thus began the relationship between Officer Alex and the dog, not just a simple rescue, but a special friendship that was forming between them. A friendship that could not be measured in words, but connection from heart to heart. The next day, Alex returned to the veterinary hospital where the dog was being treated. He still hadn't calmed down from yesterday's events. The anxiety and stress of the dog's condition made him unable to stop thinking about it. He had saved many people before, but this feeling was completely different. The dog was no longer just an animal. It had become a part of his life from the moment he first rescued it from the rubble. When Alex entered the hospital room, he saw the dog lying on the bed with IVs and bandages. Although still weak, the dog opened its eyes when it heard his footsteps. The dog's gaze never left him, and as Alex approached, it gently leaned towards him, as if wanting to touch him to feel the presence of the person who had saved its life. "Hello, little boy," Alex whispered, sitting down next to the dog's bed. He saw the wounds on its body, and his heart was filled with compassion. "Don't worry, we'll get through it." Over the next few days, Alex visited the dog every day, sometimes early in the morning, sometimes late night. The dog seemed to have gotten used to his presence. Every time he appeared, it wagged its tail and tried to stand up, even though its health had not fully recovered. At times like that, Alex felt like there was an invisible bond between him and the dog that grew stronger. A week later, the dog was allowed to leave the hospital. The vet said that the dog had recovered very quickly, but it still needed some time to heal completely. Alex decided to adopt the dog, although he did not know that this decision would change his life forever. He named it Max, a strong and appropriate name for the dog he had saved. Max became an indispensable part of Alex's daily life. Every morning, after waking up, Alex would see Max sitting at the head of his bed, his eyes sparkling, as if waiting for what would happen during the day. Alex smiled, stroking Max's head before leaving the house. Max always followed him, whether he was going to work or returning home. Their relationship developed naturally, and gradually, Max was no longer just a dog but a true friend. One morning, when Alex was preparing to go to the police station, Max showed a strange sign. The dog would not lie still, but stood up, circled around him, and barked anxiously. Alex stopped, looking at Max with a surprised look. "What's the matter, Max?" he said softly. Max barked urgently and ran to the door as if he wanted to pull Alex along. Alex began to feel that something was wrong. He thought for a moment and then decided to follow Max. After living together for a long time, Alex realized that Max never did anything without a reason, especially when he acted strangely like this. Alex quickly changed his clothes and decided to take Max with him. He didn't know what would happen, but the feeling in his heart told him that this dog was trying to tell him something. As the two of them walked outside, Max led him to a nearby neighborhood where there was a coffee shop that Alex frequented every morning. But as they approached, Max stopped abruptly, staring straight at a car parked nearby. Alex followed Max's gaze and noticed something strange. A car was parked silently with a broken window, and a figure was sneaking in from behind. Alex didn't understand what was going on, but his feelings were getting more and more tense. "What's going on?" Alex whispered, his eyes never leaving the car. Max suddenly barked loudly, running towards the car, startling Alex. The dog acted as if he knew something that Alex hadn't realized yet. Alex hurried after him, and as he got closer, he saw a man trying to sneak into the car, clearly intending to do something illegal. Immediately, Alex took out his phone and reported to his colleagues, while Max continued to bark, revealing the bad guy. At this moment, Alex realized that Max was not just an ordinary dog. Max had helped him avoid a dangerous situation that he might have missed if not for the dog. This dog, despite his unhealed wounds, had an uncanny ability and very sharp intuition. After that incident, the friendship between Alex and Max became closer than ever. Max was not only a work companion, but also a trustworthy friend, always there when he needed it. And Alex, deep down, felt a special connection that only those who had experienced challenges could understand. Max had not only saved his life once, but also helped him see life again. That's sometimes the best friends are. Not humans, but loyal creatures, always ready to protect and care for you when you need it most. The autumn rain poured down on the city, creating a gloomy and tense atmosphere. The sound of raindrops falling on the roof, making the space quiet. Only the thunder rumbled and the wind blew strongly through the deserted streets. Alex was sitting in the police station office, staring at the computer screen, trying to finish some end-of-day reports. But his heart was restless. A feeling of unease lingered in his heart, like an unexplained warning. Max, the dog beside him, also sensed something unusual. It did not lie still as usual, but stood up, walked around, and occasionally raised its head to look at Alex, as if trying to warn him about something. Alex smiled, patting Max's head gently. "You must be worried about this rain, Max," Alex said, although he still could not dispel the feeling of unease in his heart. "We will be home soon." However, a sudden phone call interrupted his thoughts. At this point, Alex was used to unexpected calls, but this time he felt something special. On the other end of the line was Officer Mark, a close colleague of Alex's in the department. "Alex, something's up. We need you right away. There's a chase going on near the West City area. The criminals are armed, and we can't let them get away." Alex didn't think long, immediately stood up, prepared his gear, and informed Max, his dog who always accompanied him in situations like this. "Let's go, Max," Alex said, and Max wagged his tail ready. When they reached the West City area, the scene before them was truly chaotic. The rain was falling harder and harder, creating a hazy picture with only the flashing lights of the police cars in the dark. The criminals being pursued had hidden in an old, dark house. Alex and his teammates split up to surround the area. Max barked angrily, without stopping, as if he sensed the presence of bad guys. The dog's eyes flashed with determination, an intuition Alex had learned over the years working with him. Alex looked into Max's eyes, and without another word, he knew what they were going to do. Max took the lead, running quickly into the dark alley. Alex followed closely behind, his hand clutching his gun, his eyes alert to every move. The two of them merged into the darkness, lurking like ghosts, but something was wrong in Alex's heart. Running to the end of the alley, they discovered a group of criminals trying to escape into an abandoned building. Alex signaled his teammates to stop and move inside, but Max suddenly stopped, making Alex cautious. Max, Alex called out in a low voice. But Max was too alert, he barked louder, and from the darkness, a figure suddenly rushed out. A criminal jumped out from the old building, holding a gun. Alex raised his hand in time to block, but Max quickly rushed in, jumped towards the attacker, bit his hand, causing him to lose his balance and the gun to fall to the ground. Alex immediately pushed the criminal down, restraining him. At this time, Max still refused to stop. The dog wagged its tail, but its eyes revealed uncontrollable anger. From the crowd, a man appeared. Not an ordinary criminal. Alex felt confusion rise when he recognized this person. He was the one he had confronted in a previous case, a notorious crime boss in the underworld. "So you're back," Alex said coldly, his weapon ready. "You won't get away this time." The crime boss, who seemed to have prepared himself, sneered. "You think I didn't? No, you were coming. You think you and that dog can take me down that easily." But at that moment, something unexpected happened. Max suddenly rushed towards the boss, biting hard on his leg. The criminal screamed, straining to resist but unable to escape Max's strength. Max barked loudly, as if in a final warning. Alex took advantage of the opportunity, quickly closing in and knocking down the boss, not giving him a chance to fight back. "There's no escape this time, you bastard." While restraining the boss, Alex turned back to look at Max. The dog was panting, its eyes still shining as if waiting for his praise. Max had saved him once again, not only with his strength, but with his unconditional loyalty. The dog was not only a companion, but also a protector in the most dangerous situations. The situation was under control. Alex's teammates quickly arrived to help. But Alex couldn't take his eyes off Max. That rainy night, they fought together again and won, creating a new chapter in the unbreakable bond between man and dog. After the stressful rainy night, Alex could not forget the feeling that Max brought. Every time he thought about the dog's bravery, he felt like he had not only saved a life but also opened a new door in his heart. Max was not just a companion, but a loyal friend, someone who was always ready to protect him no matter what danger. The relationship between them had crossed the boundary between humans and pets. It had become a deep emotional bond. However, that did not mean that Alex did not face internal struggles. Every day, looking into Max's loyal eyes, Alex wondered, "Am I worthy of this loyalty?" His life was full of complicated relationships, intrigues, and betrayals. Could Max become a part of his life without being drawn into those quagmires? During an evening meeting, Alex sat across from a longtime colleague, Officer Sarah. They had worked together for a long time, but lately Alex had begun to notice a change in the way Sarah treated him. The jokes from before had turned into veiled threats. They had been best friends, but now Alex felt like something was off. "Alex," Sarah said, breaking the silence. "You know things don't always go the way you want them to. Nothing in life is free. One day, you're going to have to face the truth." Sarah's words made Alex feel uneasy. He tried to brush it off, but a part of him couldn't. "Sarah, I don't understand," Alex said, trying to keep his voice even. Sarah smiled, her eyes seeming to hold some secret. "You'll understand. It'll all work out." After that night, Alex couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in his stomach. He wonders if Sarah knows about the secrets he is hiding, if she is trying to get involved in things he doesn't want to reveal. What worries him is not Sarah's betrayal, but her discovery of the special relationship between him and Max. Gradually, these insecurities become a ghost, making Alex tense and wondering if Max has become a target for dangers he has not yet seen. Max has saved him too many times, but can he protect the dog in a world full of intrigue like this? The anxiety increases when a new case is brought up. A large criminal group is conducting illegal arms trafficking in the city, and Alex and his team must participate in a tense investigation. Although Alex is well aware of the danger of the situation, what bothers him the most is Max's absence from these raids. Max began to show strange signs. Unlike the previous times, the dog did not bark loudly when Alex left for work. It looked at him, then turned away, as if it had something in its heart to tell him. Their relationship was no longer as simple as before. In Max's silence, Alex noticed a change, a resistance in the dog's heart that he could not fully understand. One day when Alex was sitting in the office, Max suddenly ran up and sat down next to him, staring into his eyes. The sight confused Alex. "Is there a problem, Max?" he asked gently, trying to figure out why Max was acting so strangely. Max did not answer, but his eyes still looked straight at him, his gaze no longer simply loyal, but also a determination, a challenge that Alex had never seen before. In that moment, Alex felt a clear change in their relationship. Max was no longer just a loyal friend. It had become a part of him, a part that might require a change in the way he saw the world around him. That night, when Alex returned home, he realized that he could no longer live with this anxiety and uncertainty. He could not let Max be a part of decisions he was not ready to face. He had to make things clear, had to keep himself and Max from the dangers that were coming. And once again, it was Max who made Alex face the truth. When the dog's eyes stopped on him, there was a determination in the way he looked at him, as if to say, "Don't be afraid, I'm always here and we'll get through this together." At this moment, Alex realized that it was this relationship, Max's loyalty and resilience, that had become the driving force that kept him from retreating, despite the challenges ahead. No matter what happened, no matter how the world changed, Alex and Max would always be inseparable comrades. And within Alex, a strong determination gradually formed. He would never let resistance, no matter how small, dim this friendship. That night, the sky was clear and quiet, but in Alex's heart, the feeling of unease never left him. Max, his loyal friend, sat beside him, his eyes shining calmly, but occasionally glancing at him as if he wanted to say something. Although the dog could not speak, Alex knew that it felt what he was going through. The current situation made him feel like everything was blurry, as if he was standing in two lanes, not knowing which was the right path. It all started the next morning, when Alex received a call that could not be ignored. An important case had appeared, involving an international criminal group smuggling weapons across the border. This was one of the biggest cases Alex's police team had ever faced. They not only needed to find the leaders, but also had to deal with people who were closely connected to powerful forces who would do anything to protect themselves. Alex and his team immediately set out. The information they had was very little, but through small clues, they gradually sketched out a picture of this criminal group. They had a large arms smuggling network and had recently transferred a large shipment of weapons into the city. What was worrying was that this group had protection from powerful forces in the government, making it even more difficult to capture. Max followed Alex throughout this trip, never leaving his side. Every time they entered a dangerous area, the dog became extremely alert, as if he could sense the danger before Alex. At times like this, Alex felt a strong protection from Max, always ready to rush into danger to protect him. They began to monitor a large warehouse, which was believed to be the place where the weapons were stored. Alex and his team prepared to approach, but a strange feeling rose in his heart. This was not as simple as the other captures. Something was lurking in the darkness, and Alex couldn't help but feel that everything around him was about to collapse. The team moved quickly into the warehouse area. Max took the lead, alert to every movement around them. As they approached the area they needed to check, a sudden noise came from the warehouse. Max immediately rushed over, barking angrily. Alex didn't have time to think, immediately signaling his teammates to get ready. They rushed into the warehouse, and what they saw made the team stop dead in their tracks. In the warehouse, there were not only weapons, but also a series of electronic devices, classified documents, and items that Alex had never seen before. Part of the warehouse contained explosive containers that could cause a huge explosion if not handled carefully. The important documents were related to arms trading activities, but one of them was information about the government. This was a terrifying truth that Alex's team did not expect. Alex realized that they were not just dealing with a group of criminals. They were dealing with a criminal network that had the protection of powerful people who could manipulate everything, and if they were not careful, they could be wiped out overnight. The danger was approaching, and Alex felt that if they did not act quickly, things could go too far. As everyone was trying to collect evidence and clean up the scene, a stranger suddenly appeared from the darkness. It was a strange man, carrying a weapon, and it seemed that he had been watching their every move. He stepped forward, his eyes cold and without hesitation. "Do you think you can stop here?" the man said, his voice low and cold. "If you go any further, no one will survive." Alex did not hesitate. Whatever he said, this was not the time to be afraid. "We are not afraid," Alex said, looking straight at him, his voice full of determination. Just as Alex was about to act, Max, with his loyal and protective instincts, rushed to attack the man. Max quickly took him down, but this man was not someone to be easily subdued. He turned around, swung his arm at Max, knocking the dog away. Alex could not let that happen. This time, he was not just a policeman, but Max's only friend and protector. In a moment, Alex rushed in, attacked the criminal, and after a fierce struggle, he was subdued. But at the same time, a feeling of fear rushed into Alex's heart. They were too close to the secrets that this criminal group was trying to keep hidden. They were not only facing criminals, but also a powerful force that could turn them all into targets at any moment. Although the incident was temporarily settled, Alex knew that the real battle had only just begun. They had opened a door to a mysterious and dangerous underworld. And when he turned to look at Max, the dog's eyes were filled with determination, as if to say, "We will get through this together." The case of the arms smuggling gang has revealed part of the truth, but at the same time, it has opened up many unanswered questions. Although he has subdued a criminal and collected some important evidence, Alex feels that the danger is not only coming from outside, but maybe creeping into his own team. That night, sitting alone in the office, Alex cannot escape the feeling of restlessness and anxiety. Something is waiting for him, and he cannot help but feel that there is an internal force manipulating the events around him. Max lies under the desk, occasionally raising his head, as if he can also feel his owner's anxiety. The relationship between Alex and Max is no longer simple. The dog is not just a companion at work, but an indispensable part of his life. And whenever Alex feels a danger, Max is always there, like an invisible shield protecting him. The next morning, at the police team meeting, Alex once again couldn't ignore the strangeness in the attitudes of some of his colleagues. The hesitant questions, the suspicious looks, all seemed to indicate one thing: not everyone on the team was on his side. Some of them seemed to be keeping secrets, and Alex couldn't help but suspect that someone on the team was in cahoots with a criminal group he was chasing. When the meeting ended, Alex decided to draw the inevitable conclusion: there had to be an insider feeding information to the criminals. It could be someone he had known for a long time, a teammate, a friend. Betrayal from within his own ranks was something he couldn't imagine, but all the clues seemed to lead there. Determined to find the truth, Alex continued his investigation in secret. He couldn't let this danger run rampant, especially when it came to Max's safety. They were too close to the secret the criminals were trying to hide. Alex couldn't let anyone, not even his own team, ruin this investigation. Together with Max, he quietly followed the suspects. One of them, Officer Dylan, made Alex feel uncomfortable from the moment he joined the team. Dylan was a quiet, reserved person who kept his distance from everyone. But it was Dylan's silence that worried Alex. There was something wrong, a tension in Dylan's demeanor that only Alex could detect. Alex decided to secretly follow Dylan. One night, when all the teammates were resting, Alex and Max followed Dylan, despite the danger. They watched from a distance, and after a while, they saw Dylan enter a deserted area where the trucks were parked. Alex held his breath, trying not to make a sound, while Max, with his extraordinary sensitivity, followed closely, his eyes still focused on Dylan's every move. As Dylan stepped into a truck, Alex noticed a group of people talking to him. They were talking hurriedly, and in the dim light Alex could make out images he had never imagined: crates of weapons, stolen documents. This was clearly a transaction between Dylan and the criminal group he was investigating. Alex felt his entire body tense up. Dylan had sold him out. What now? Alex wondered, but he couldn't back down. He had found the most important clue. Dylan was the traitor in the team. He couldn't let this person continue to endanger him, Max, and the entire police force. Alex quietly withdrew, leaving no trace, and returned to report to his teammates. However, what worried him even more was that this wasn't just a small case. This betrayal was more than that. It might involve the people behind The arms smuggling and larger forces that Alex couldn't identify. There was someone behind it all, a force they had never thought of. The next day, Alex called a closed-door meeting with his team. He didn't want to cause chaos in the team right away, but the truth had to be revealed. Max sat beside him, as if always ready to protect him, but Alex couldn't help but feel heavy in his heart. A close friend has betrayed them, and now they face a battle not only against criminals, but also against those who once fought alongside them. The confrontation with Dylan is coming, but Alex knows that if he doesn't handle it well, it will all fall apart. And now, in addition to Max's determination and loyalty, Alex knows he needs to be more careful than ever. This betrayal could ruin everything. The truth about Dylan was a huge shock to Alex. He couldn't believe that a longtime teammate, someone he had once considered a friend, could betray and sell them out. That night, when everything had calmed down, Alex sat alone in the dark room of the office, feeling exhausted and disappointed. Max, as if understanding his master's pain, lay quietly beside him, his eyes shining in the darkness. No words were needed. Max just being there was enough, and Alex felt the gentle comfort of the dog's presence. The next day, everything had changed. Alex no longer felt like he was standing on solid ground. Every step he took, every decision he made, was threatened by doubts about those around him. Was there anyone else on the team a traitor? Could he trust anyone else? The investigation into the arms smuggling gang continued, but it felt like everything was becoming more and more hazy. Alex tried to stay calm and focused on his work, but every time he entered the meeting room with his teammates, he couldn't escape the feeling of being watched. Dylan, whom he had trusted, had made things more complicated. But what scared Alex the most was the indifference of his other colleagues. It seemed that no one had noticed the unusual behavior in Dylan, and Alex knew that if he didn't handle it quickly, things could get worse. Max, like a friend who understood Alex's mood best, was always by his side, never letting him feel alone. Every time he felt insecure, Max was the one who helped him stabilize his mind. The dog became a protector not only in his work but also in his soul, helping Alex face the worries that were engulfing him. One day, while attending an investigation meeting at the police station, Alex couldn't stop thinking about Dylan. Why did he betray them? What was his reason? And most importantly, was he the only one? There could be people behind him, or even people with higher powers who were controlling this game from the shadows. Alex couldn't let this betrayal drag on any longer. He had to act immediately. At this point, a difficult decision had to be made. Alex began investigating all of his police team members. Each piece of information he gathered made him feel heavier, as if a veil of mystery was hiding truths that he couldn't reach. Was anyone in the team complicit with Dylan? Or could it all be his overactive imagination? Max followed Alex closely throughout the investigation. In times of stress, when no one was around, Alex would just look into Max's eyes and feel a strange comfort. Max had become his most trusted companion, not only in work but also in his innermost thoughts. One evening, when Alex returned home, he noticed something strange about Max. The dog stood watching him, then suddenly ran out into the yard. Alex felt a vague sense of unease when he saw Max acting like that, but he couldn't be sure what was going on. The dog walked around the yard, sniffing, and then stopped in a dark corner where a car was parked. Alex stepped out, feeling the tension rising. Max once again drew his attention to something he had missed. He quietly walked closer to the car, and when he looked closer, he noticed something terrifying. There was a small card on the windshield with a handwritten message underneath. The message made Alex shiver. "Don't go too far, Alex. It will all be over soon." Alex looked at Max, the dog's eyes still silently following him. It seemed that Max had noticed something that he couldn't quite understand. This message was not a simple threat. It was a warning of terrible things to come. Alex felt like he had been drawn into a dangerous game that he could not control. The dark forces behind all these events were beginning to reveal themselves, and Alex had to make a decision quickly. In that moment, Alex understood that all he had done and was doing would not be possible without Max's help. The dog was not only his loyal companion, but also his only friend in this fight, the one who kept his faith and reason when everything seemed to be falling apart. That night, Alex sat in the quiet of his room, watching Max lying beside him. He wondered if he was strong enough to overcome all the challenges that were coming. But when he looked into Max's bright eyes, he knew that whatever happened, they would face it together, overcome all dangers, because this friendship was all he needed to make it to the end. The sun had set, and the night air was unusual. The city was quiet, but Alex could not find peace in his mind. Although the investigation into the arms smuggling gang was progressing, something was hanging over his head, like a ghost. He felt that he was walking into a maze where each step would reveal more secrets. And perhaps these secrets were not only about the criminals, but also about a past that Alex had never expected. Max was always by his side, loyal and patient. The dog was not only a trusted friend, but also a protector, helping Alex see details that he might have missed. In times of fatigue, when everything felt like it was falling apart, only Max was the only one who made Alex feel that he was not alone. One day, when Alex returned to the police station after a tiring night of work, he noticed something strange. In the archives room, a file lay unnaturally on the table, in the middle of the empty space. This was the place where important documents were kept, where Alex had spent hours researching cases. But today, this file was not what he had asked for. The file had no notes from his colleagues. It was sealed, with no information about its origin or purpose. With a strange feeling, Alex opened the file. What he found inside surprised him. This was no ordinary investigative report. It was a series of confidential documents, photos, and maps that showed places Alex had never seen before. All of them had clear connections to some important figures in the police force, people he had never expected. The photos and documents in this file were not only evidence of arms smuggling, but also traces of a wider criminal network. Alex noticed a clear connection between the group of criminals he was investigating and some government officials, even those in his own police force. He felt like he was facing a monster with two faces. One side was the criminals, and the other was the people he considered his comrades. But among those documents, there was one section that especially caught Alex's attention. A handwritten letter, undated, but its content made him shudder. Your work will soon be over. What you have found is just the tip of the iceberg. Stop before it's too late. If you don't listen, someone will pay. Alex felt his body tense. A sense of dread had taken over him. This wasn't just a threat from criminals, but a warning from a larger force that he didn't fully understand. Although he couldn't identify the sender of this letter, it was clear that they knew his every move. As Alex continued to search for relevant documents, Max began to act strangely. The dog suddenly barked in panic, its tail raised, its eyes fixed on the window. Alex turned around, realizing that something was wrong. Max had never reacted like this before. Do you feel something is wrong, Max? Alex asked, but the dog kept barking, its mouth wide open. Alex immediately stood up, sensing danger. He walked to the window and looked out. In the distance, a black car stopped near the police station, then quickly drove away when it saw Alex watching. A feeling of anxiety rose in Alex's heart again. His dog could never react irrationally, and if Max sensed danger, then something very serious was approaching. Follow me, Max, Alex said, signaling the dog and quickly leaving the office. He had to act immediately. What he discovered today was just a small part of a larger game that could change everything he knew. On the way to a safe location, Alex thought about what had happened since the case began. Everything was a blur now. Max may be the only person who hasn't betrayed him. And while everyone around him could be his enemy, Max is a symbol of loyalty and steadfastness like no other. What Alex doesn't realize is that, in the next few days, all these pieces will begin to come together into a complete picture, a picture that may bring him face to face with a truth he never wanted to face. The tension in Alex's heart could not be hidden, even as he tried to calm the worries in his mind. Everything seemed to be pushing him into a situation where he could not retreat. The revelations about the connection between the criminal group and the government officials only made things more complicated. Even though the evidence was clear, Alex knew that with just one wrong move, everything could collapse. Max had always been by his side, like a loyal ghost, ready to face any danger with him. But tonight, things were more serious than ever. Alex felt the suffocation in the air, as if he were in the middle of an unpredictable war. His police team was under threat, and he, Dylan, was the biggest threat. He had sold out their team, and Alex could not let this betrayal continue. He knew that a confrontation with Dylan was inevitable, but what worried him was the complexity of the forces behind him. If Dylan was just a pawn in a larger game, then the others, the ones controlling him, were the real danger. Alex decided to act immediately. After listening to a few reliable sources within the team, he discovered that Dylan had a meeting tonight in a deserted area near the harbor. Alex decided that this was his only chance to catch him, and if necessary, force him to tell the truth. Planning meticulously, Alex and Max secretly went to the area. The two moved through the deserted streets, Max's eyes constantly scanning the area, as if trying to detect any signs of danger. The tension grew as they got closer to the meeting place. Max barked softly, a sign that something was wrong. They crept closer to the port area, where containers were stacked on top of each other, casting dark shadows. Alex could feel the tension in the air. This was where the final battle would take place. No one knew what would happen next, but Alex couldn't wait. Just then, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was Dylan. He approached a black car parked in a dark corner, his eyes darting around carefully, as if waiting for someone. Alex couldn't wait any longer. He signaled Max to be quiet and walked towards Dylan. From a distance, Alex could see the tension in Dylan's eyes. He knew something was up, and Alex could sense the change in his demeanor. "Dylan," Alex said, his voice cold but determined. "You can't run away forever." Dylan was startled, turning around with a look of undisguised worry on his face. He looked around, as if considering something. A second later, he quickly pulled out a gun, aiming it at Alex. "Don't come any closer," Dylan shouted, his hand shaking but still holding the gun steady. "You don't understand, Alex. If you want to live, stay away from this." Alex didn't flinch, his hand slowly pulling out the gun, holding it within reach without showing any tension. "You don't have a choice, Dylan. You betrayed us, and now you're going to pay." Max stood next to Alex, ready to pounce at any moment. Both of them, the human and the dog, knew that this confrontation would not end simply. Dylan, his face filled with panic, raised the gun higher, aimed straight at Alex, his eyes filled with determination. "No, Alex. You don't understand. It's all set up. If you don't stop, things will get worse. Not just for you, but for everyone around you," Dylan said, his voice heavy and filled with fear. He was not only threatening Alex, but also a warning to everyone else. Alex had no time to hesitate. He had already made the first move, but Alex did not waver. In that moment, Alex looked straight into Dylan's eyes and said, "This is not the path you want to take." Suddenly, Max lunged at Dylan at an unimaginable speed, attacking him before he could react. Dylan stumbled, the gun fell to the ground, and Max quickly restrained him, the dog's teeth biting hard into his hand, rendering him unable to continue fighting. Alex quickly closed in, restrained Dylan, and grabbed him. "You're not getting away, Dylan. It's time for you to answer for what you've done." Dylan's breath was ragged. He couldn't resist Alex's determination and strength. "You don't understand. They won't forgive you." Dylan stammered, but Alex didn't listen to him. "You sold out our team," Alex said coldly. "Now you will face justice." The confrontation ended, but Alex still couldn't get rid of the uneasy feeling in his heart. Even though he was captured, what worried him more were Dylan's last words. Who were they? And what would happen after the truth was revealed? Throughout this war, Max was the only one who didn't let him down. The dog was not just a friend, but a comrade in arms in every situation, an indispensable shield in the most tense moments. But now, Alex realized that this war had only just begun, and those behind this betrayal would not give up easily. The confrontation with Dylan was over, but its traces remained in Alex's heart. Dylan's final warnings rang in his head like an alarm. "They won't let you go." Even though he had subdued the traitor, Alex knew that this was just the beginning of a long war, one that would target not only Alex, but also the people he loved, especially Max. After Dylan was taken away, Alex sat in his office, looking out the window. The rain had fallen lightly tonight, the drops rolling down the glass, like the thoughts in his head that were constantly flowing. Max was still by his side, lying silently under his desk, but his eyes were fixed on Alex, as if to say that, no matter what, they would get through it together. "Max," Alex whispered, leaning down to pat the dog's head. "Thank you for always being there for me. I don't know what I would do without you." Max responded with a wag of his tail, Alex's smile fading. Even though he knew he couldn't rely on anyone but himself, at least he still had Max, the only loyal friend he could trust completely. The information Alex gathered from Dylan and the subsequent investigation showed that the fight against the dark forces was not over yet. But now he no longer felt afraid. He had faced betrayal, faced challenges he could not imagine before, and still stood firm. All he needed now was to continue fighting to protect the values he believed in. In that moment, Alex realized that no matter how his life changed, no matter how bad things got, Max would always be the only friend he needed. This dog is not just a pet, but a confidant, a companion who is ready to face any difficulty with him. We will continue, Max, Alex said with renewed determination, patting the dog. Everything will be fine. Together with Max, Alex continued his journey, determined to uncover the secrets of the criminal world and those behind it. Their relationship went far beyond the boundaries between humans and pets. They were teammates, indispensable comrades, friends with the same goal to protect justice and never give up. And in the days that followed, Alex knew that no matter how difficult the road ahead was, he would always have Max by his side, the most sincere friend he had ever had. The challenges and dangers would continue, but Alex would no longer have to face them alone. He and Max will continue to fight together for a future without darkness, without betrayal, and nothing that can tear them apart. At the end of this story, Alex and Max stand on a long road ahead. A road full of hardships, but also full of hope, and their friendship will be the strength to help them overcome all challenges. Although there are many difficulties ahead, their friendship is a strong source of motivation to help them continue to fight for justice and protect what is most precious. The story ends with a strong message of loyalty, perseverance, and friendship, which will be a motivation for all those facing difficulties and challenges in life. If you love the story of loyalty, bravery, and unconditional friendship between humans and dogs, don't forget to click like and subscribe to not miss the next interesting videos. Each of your views, shares, and subscriptions is a great motivation for us to continue bringing inspiring and meaningful stories. Join our community, where each story is not only a lesson, but also an inspiration for life. Join us to build an increasingly stronger channel, to continue sharing magical journeys and helping you connect with the best values. We need your support to continue to develop and create more and more quality content. Click subscribe today because you are the one who makes the difference. Thank you very much and see you in the next videos.